In this video, I'll show you a useful technique to create 4 different kinds of cord. So the first rope chain thingy that we're going to make is going to be a wire. So to do this, I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences, and I'm going to search Curve and see Add Curve Extra Objects. Make sure that is checked. Now, I'm going to press Shift A, go to Curve, and go down here to Curve Spirals, get Archimedean. Now I'm going to open this box up and change the height. Now, I don't want this to be very high. I'm going to go about 0.25, and I'll press Tab to leave edit mode. I'm going to go to Curve Properties down here, go to Geometry, and find Bevel, Depth. I'm going to click, press Shift, and just drag that up until they're touching right about there. Alright, now I'm going to add another curve, and this is just going to be a Bezier curve. I'll scale that down right there. And now I'm going to go to Modifiers and get an Array modifier. I'm going to change this from Fixed to Fit Curve and select the Bezier. I'm going to apply all transforms. And now it's created the number of instances, I don't know what you'd call them, that it would take to fill up the curve. Now to put them on the curve, I'm going to get a Curve modifier and select that curve. And now it's attached to the curve, but it's not the way we want, right? It should be the other way. So I'm going to press Tab, press R, Y, 90. And now it's far closer to what we want, but it's still not quite there. I'm going to go back to the array, find Factor X, and I'm just going to click, press Shift, and drag, and bring that number down. And that'll change the distance between the instances. Now, that does give us this problem right here, where the instances are overlapping. You could do the math and get like the perfect amount, or I could just turn on Merge right there. And now it's joining the vertices that are close together, which will fix that problem. Now, we'll move on to something a little bit more complicated, but still somewhat similar. I'm going to add a curve spirals, and get another Archimedean. This time, I'm going to make the height much higher, around 2. I'll do 2. And we're making a rope this time. Now I'm going to leave edit mode, press Shift D, press Shift D, R, Z, and 90. So now we have 2 duplicates of the same curve, but one is rotated by 90 degrees. Now I can press Shift R twice, and now we have 4 duplicates. I'm going to select them all, make sure one of them is like fully, like a single thing is selected, and the other ones, otherwise it won't. Just make sure one of them is a different color and it's also selected, if that makes sense. Now I'll do Command or Control J, go to Curve Properties, and again, just bring that depth up right there. Alright, that looks a little broken there. Oh, that's funny. Our Bezier curve, can't seem to find it. I accidentally selected our Bezier curve, so we'll want to select it and press P to selection. Now do Alt H to unhide that, and I'll bring that depth back down to 0. Okay, I'll scale that down pretty small, apply all transforms. And now we're going to do basically the same steps again. So in this case, what I needed to do was apply the geometry of the Bezier curve. And that was because when I joined them together, it lost some of its data. So I apply all transforms, and we've got that. Now we just rotate this just like before. Go back to our array and bring that number down. And now I'll just turn on Merge. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to make something a little bit more complicated. I'm going to get a circle. Shift A, curve, circle. And I'm going to scale it on the y-axis a little bit. I'm going to press, I forget what it's called, but it's below the escape key. I'm going to press that button, and I'm going to go to top view. I'm going to select these 3, S, Y, 0. It's like those 3, S, Y, 0. Sorry for the birds in the background, by the way. I'm going to increase the depth, just like before. And now we have the first link in our chain. Now, for a little bit, the steps will be the same, so I'll just get past this. Alright. Now we have this. So it's kind of correct, but not quite, because obviously a chain isn't like this. So what we're going to do is press Shift D. I'm going to go into edit mode, press A to select everything, RX 90. Okay, this is closer, but it's still not what we want. So what we can do is just move these along the x-axis a little bit. And there we go. Now we have a chain. Now, something I find just super cool is that if we select the chain that these are instanced on, or whatever you'd call that, I still don't know, we can actually move this and it works correctly. And I think this is really satisfying, especially if you join the two ends. Like, just look at this. You can even extrude them. All right, okay. I'm gonna hide the chain now, and we're gonna create our final rope thing. I'm gonna get a curved spirals, which is the same to start, but I'm gonna take the turns and increase this to, I'm gonna say 4. Now I'm just gonna scale these along the X and Y axis. Press Shift D, RZ 180, and now I get this, because we're creating barbed wire. And so first we have to create the twine part. I'm gonna bring the depth up a little bit, but not so much that they're touching. Now I'm gonna add another curve. We're gonna go down here, get curve, or is it knots? Torus knot plus is what I'm gonna use, and just kind of play around with these settings. Okay, this is what I'm gonna use. It's not perfect. You could fiddle around with the settings more, but this is good enough. I'm gonna select a point. I'm gonna go down here, turn on proportional editing, and change that to random. And I'm just gonna move these around a little bit. I can scale these if I want. Okay, I think in the end I'm gonna scale that down a little. But also, if you look at barbed wire, they also have like this thing that's just sticking out at the end. So I'm gonna turn off proportional editing and select a point and press S and then 0. There you go. And now I'm gonna extrude it, just kind of like that. All right. I think this is a little too long, so I'm gonna select it, go to front view, just select those and delete them. Okay. And now the steps are very similar as before. I'm just gonna join those together, scale them down, and now I do this. While this may help you create one model, if you want tips to create many models, watch this video.